You sit down to study. You open your book, you read the first line, and then, suddenly, your hand moves toward your phone, just for 2 minutes. You check one message, then one reel, then another, and before you realize it, 30 minutes are gone. Now, here's the real question. Why does this keep happening even when you know it's wrong? Are you lazy, undisciplined, or just addicted? No, the truth is much deeper and, honestly, a little scary. Your brain is actually designed to distract you. The core truth: your brain was never built for focus. Let's go back thousands of years. Imagine you're a human living in the wild. No phones, no exams, no deadlines. Your survival depends on three things: noticing movement, danger; finding food, reward; and avoiding boredom, because boredom could mean missing threats. Your brain evolved to do one thing really well: chase new, easy, rewarding stimuli. Because in that world, that behavior meant survival. But now, you're sitting in a room trying to focus on a textbook, and your brain is like, this is boring, this is slow, this is not rewarding. So it pushes you toward something better: your phone. Your brain isn't broken, it's just outdated. The dopamine system, the real game. At the center of all this is one powerful chemical: dopamine. Most people think dopamine equals pleasure. That's wrong. Dopamine is actually desire, motivation, anticipation of reward. It's what makes you want something. What happens when you scroll? Every time you open Instagram, watch a reel, check notifications, your brain releases dopamine. But here's the twist: it's not the content, it's the possibility of something interesting. That's why you keep scrolling. You're chasing the next hit. Dopamine versus satisfaction. The trap. Here's something most people don't understand. Dopamine equals wanting. Satisfaction equals liking. Scrolling gives high dopamine, low satisfaction. Deep work gives low dopamine at start, high satisfaction at the end. That's why you scroll for hours and feel empty, but after studying, you feel proud. The dopamine spike crash cycle. When you binge distractions, first, big dopamine spike, then sudden crash. After that crash, everything feels boring. Studying feels painful. Reading feels slow. Even normal life feels dull. So what do? You go back to scrolling. And the loop continues. Scroll, feel good, crash, scroll again. The battle inside your brain. There is a constant invisible battle happening inside your mind every single day. It's not just you versus distraction. It's actually a conflict between two powerful systems in your brain, each with completely different goals. The prefrontal cortex, your CEO brain. This is the most advanced part of your brain. It's what separates humans from animals. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for long-term thinking, planning your future, making rational decisions, controlling impulses, staying focused on goals. This is the part of you that says, I need to study. I should focus. This will help my future. It doesn't care about what feels good right now. It cares about what will matter later. That's why we call it your CEO brain. It's supposed to lead. Monkey brain, your limbic system. But there's another system that's much older and more powerful in certain situations. This is your emotional brain. It is driven by comfort, pleasure, safety, instant rewards. It doesn't think about the future. It only asks one question: what feels good right now? So when you feel like checking your phone, watching one more video, avoiding a difficult task, that's your limbic system taking control. It's fast, it's automatic, and it's very persuasive. The war: logic versus emotion. Now here's where the real struggle begins. You sit down with full intention. I will study. I will focus. That's your prefrontal cortex speaking. But within seconds, another voice appears. Let's just check one notification, just one video, then we'll start. That's your limbic system. And here's the problem. The prefrontal cortex is logical but slow. The limbic system is emotional but fast. So in most cases, the emotional brain wins. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is wired that way. Attention residue, the hidden damage. There's a reason why your focus doesn't come back instantly, even after you stop the distraction. It's called attention residue, and it's one of the most underrated reasons behind poor concentration. What actually happens? When you switch from one task to another, like from studying to checking your phone, your brain doesn't fully reset. A part of your attention stays attached to the previous task. So even after you close your phone, a part of your mind is still thinking about that message, that video, that notification. You may not notice it consciously, but in the background, your brain is still processing it. Why this is dangerous? Focus requires full mental presence, but attention residue splits your focus. So instead of 100% attention on your work, you're operating at 60, 50, sometimes even less. This is why you read the same line again and again. You lose track of what you were doing. You feel like you're studying, but not actually learning. Key insight. It's not just the distraction itself that hurts you. It's what stays after the distraction. The default mode network. Why your mind wanders. Have you ever noticed something strange? The moment you sit down to focus, your brain suddenly becomes more active. Random thoughts appear. Memories, imaginary conversations, future worries. This isn't random. This is your brain switching into a specific mode. The default mode network. What the DMN does. When you're not focused on a task, your brain activates this network. It's responsible for daydreaming, self-reflection, overthinking, imagining scenarios. It's like your brain's idle mode. Wait. In today's world, your brain is constantly jumping between external stimulation, phone, videos, and internal stimulation, thoughts, worries. So when you remove external input, like when you start studying, your brain immediately fills the gap with internal noise. Key way. You think, I can't focus, but in reality, your brain is just overactive in the wrong direction. Focus isn't about forcing attention. It's about reducing unnecessary mental activity. Cognitive load. Why you get tired so fast. Have you ever felt mentally exhausted, even without doing much? That's because your brain has a limited processing capacity. This is called cognitive load. What increases cognitive load? Too many open tabs, constant notifications, overthinking, switching between tasks, consuming too much information. Your brain is constantly processing all of this, even when you don't realize it. What happens when it overloads? When your brain reaches its limit, decision-making becomes slower, focus becomes harder, you feel mentally drained. And then your brain does something interesting. It looks for an escape, something easy, something effortless, something familiar, like scrolling. Key insight. Distraction is not always a lack of discipline. Sometimes it's your brain trying to recover from overload. Instant versus delayed gratification, the real battle. At the core of everything, there is a single fundamental conflict. Do you choose what feels good now or what benefits you later? Two paths. Distraction equals instant reward. Effort equals delayed reward. Your brain naturally prefers instant gratification because it requires less effort, less time, less uncertainty. The famous experiment. Stanford marshmallow experiment. Children were given a choice. Eat one marshmallow now or wait and get two later. The ones who waited had better life outcomes later. What does this mean for you? Every time you choose to study instead of scroll, to work instead of procrastinate, you are training your brain to value the future over the present. And that skill changes everything. Your brain predicts effort, why you procrastinate. Before you even start a task, your brain makes a prediction. It asks, how difficult is this going to be? Wait, if the task feels hard, your brain responds with resistance, avoidance, procrastination. Not because you're lazy, but because your brain is trying to conserve energy. Why big tasks feel scary? When something looks complex, long, unclear, your brain labels it as too much effort, so it delays starting. The solution hidden inside. When you break tasks into smaller parts, the perceived effort drops, and suddenly